Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is echoing the White House's narrative that everything is just fine and dandy. We have Elon Musk shutting down Starlink in Ukraine after being told to F off, and Joe Biden has his latest gaffe. All that and more here on The Bald Brad Show. Welcome to The Bald Brad Show. It is Monday, October 17th, and as always, if you're joining me on this fine morning, that means you're starting the week off right by hanging out with all of us here at The Bald Brad Show, where we come together as a community of conservatives and Republicans, go over the stories of the day, and bring you all the news and information you need to know about. So if you want to join us here at The Bald Brad Show and you haven't done so already, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe button. If you're over at Rumble, hit the plus and give us a comment down below. And if you're listening on any of the podcast airwaves, Apple, Google, Spotify, heck folks, you can find us and listen to us anywhere and everywhere. Leave us a lovely 5-star review. Not only do you be helping a conservative, but most importantly, you'll be supporting getting conservative thought and ideas out there to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. So your help and support would be greatly appreciated. Hit that like button, but also double check to make sure that bell notification icon's clicked so you're notified whenever we upload, which is Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with Supernatural Saturdays and a sprinkling of politics on Sunday. So be notified by hitting that bell icon. And with that being said, we have Transportation Secretary here for our lead story. And this interview is just remarkable because according to the White House, according to Karine Jean-Pierre, according to the Energy Secretary, according to the Transportation Secretary, the Bidens, the White House, the whole administration is doing nothing but winning. Wait till we get to that clip just one moment. You have the Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg dodging multiple questions on whether the U.S. economy is headed for a recession. I don't even know why that's a question of heading for a recession, because we are already in one, folks. We already have had 2 consecutive negative GDP growth quarters. That is the definition, the rule of thumb for recession. But somehow the media have hopped on board with this whole thing of going, well, are we heading into a recession since you're saying that we're not into one? It's unbelievable how the media will continue to rub their shoulders. While making the rounds on Sunday talk shows, Buttigieg deflected multiple times when hosts asked him if he thought a recession was forthcoming. His comments come on the heels of 2 quarters of negative economic growth, which meets the rule of thumb. By definition of a recession, combined with crushing inflation that rose to 8.2% from September 2021 to September 2022, surpassing analysts' forecasts. I mean, it's, folks, month after month, quarter after quarter, the White House is consistently surpassing analysts' forecasts. They also did it with the Consumer Price Index. They beat that one. I mean, but according to them, as you're about to see right now, they're doing nothing but winning. They got accomplishments left and right. And it's amazing how they get away with this type of messaging because it comes from the president. You see Karine Jean-Pierre strutting up to the podium each and every day, pushing the same narrative. And that goes from the Energy Secretary, all cabinet members. And now we got Pete Buttigieg, Transportation Secretary, doing the exact same thing. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Let's talk about the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us this week. We saw President Biden out there saying that he's going to be announcing more steps to take on inflation and particularly gas prices this week. What more can he do?
Well, I won't get ahead of the president, but as you have seen throughout this year, he's taken a number of steps, everything from flexibility on ethanol to the release from the Strategic Oil Reserve, to try to create a little bit of breathing room for families that are paying too much at the pump. Also drawing attention to the fact that you've got a lot of corporations that are wildly profitable right now, and what seems to be a larger than usual spread between
Again, I know I'm repeating myself each and every week here on the show. It's everybody else's fault. That's going to be the theme of this midterms. It's everybody else's fault. And if it's not everybody else's fault, then they're going to single out somebody. It's going to be Trump. It's going to be Putin. It's going to be the Saudis. I mean, it's going to be at no point here, folks, is it going to be Biden's fault. And you're going to see that message continue through this interview.
Wholesale oil prices and what we're paying at the pump for gasoline. This is part of a bigger focus that the president has sustained throughout this year on fighting inflation and creating more of that breathing room for American families, which is part of why achievements like the Inflation Reduction Act, lowering the cost of health care, lowering the cost of energy for American families, it's why that's so important, and it's why we can't turn back on the progress that's been made, especially because we know there's still a long way to go.
What progress? CPI's up, energy's up, inflation's at 8.2%. What accomplishments? What's being done? Nothing. Nothing's been done. That's the answer, but they're going to lie straight to your face. All weekend he did this. All weekend.
Right now, as you know, those numbers are weighing on Democrats as you head into the midterms, just about 3 weeks left before the midterm elections. How should Democrats address it?
Look, I think the good policy is good politics, and we have been doing the right thing for the American people with proposals that are and achievements legislatively that are popular because they make sense. That's true of the infrastructure law, which, having been signed about a year ago, now we're actually out there making these improvements to bridges, roads, airports, things around the country that need work. And I think part of what this administration and this president were elected to do was to deliver on things like that. Same with the Inflation Reduction Act. I mean, here you have this environment where Americans are facing.
It's almost like he's taking a gulp because he's having a tough time just completely lying to all of you. I love this idea of like, oh, it's a huge accomplishment that we passed the Inflation Reduction Act. We're throwing a ton of money at infrastructure, just pumping the economy just full of cash. Disregarding the whole fact that helped contribute to inflation, but it's okay, folks. It's accomplishments. It's helping you out at the end of the day. It's so a bunch of BS.
A lot of pressure because prices are up, and we have ways to bring prices down on prescription drugs. Letting Medicare finally negotiate, capping insulin for those on Medicare at $35 a month. That $2,000 out of pocket cap on prescription drugs. And remember, there are proposals in the Republican Congress right now to reverse all of that, which would mean that premiums and prescription drug costs would go up. And it is exactly the wrong time to do that. It's the wrong time to do anything that would increase costs for healthcare or anything else for the American people. We're going to focus on that, focus on the achievements that have been made in this Congress and under this president, as well as the vision for the future.
You didn't mention one of the first achievements, those direct payments to American families in the wake of the pandemic, the expansion of the child tax credit. A lot of Democrats think that your candidate should be speaking more about those accomplishments from last year.
Well, we are proud of those accomplishments. The things that those accomplishments have done, first of all, contributing to historic job creation under this president, 10 million plus jobs. That's never happened in this time period in a presidency before.
It's never happened because we've never had a global crisis like this before where everybody shut down their entire economies, man. You shut everything down, you start it back up. Of course you're going to have job growth. Of course you are. But totally just going to disregard the fact that you just pumped the economy full of ton of money. And now you have massive inflation, 41-year high inflation, and you can't get it under control. And they're calling it an accomplishment. I'm laughing because this is unbelievable. They're just like, we're winning everywhere. I mean, they sound like Trump, right? There's going to be so much winning. You're going to get tired of it. They're like, there's so much accomplishments. We don't even know what to do with it all. I mean, that's probably going to be a tough messaging point for us. We're going to have so much accomplishments. Oh my God.
In American history. Remember, we have our challenges right now, but when the president took office, we were facing an economy that was at risk of going into free fall. The American Rescue Plan stopped that, and it went directly into easing the burden for Americans with those tax benefits that Americans got. And it went into projects that are improving communities all around the United States. I was back in my hometown, saw some infrastructure projects that they're doing there with some of that ARP money. The mayors know what to do with it. Communities know what to do with it. Families know what to do with it. And I do think we run the risk because there have been so many accomplishments, right? The CHIPS Act that's bringing manufacturing back to the United States, the PACT Act getting veterans the benefits they deserve, of course, the infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, On top of that American Rescue Plan, in some ways, having achieved so much legislatively makes it hard to talk about it all at once because there are just so many accomplishments.
Hello. I was being satirical. I was joking earlier about... He just echoed the exact same thing I did. He just said the exact same thing that I was just joking about, that there's so much accomplishments that we're going to have a tough time just bringing it all together and just getting that message out. I feel like I'm a part of the Babylon Bee right now, literally just making jokes. And this guy's out there being serious.
The threat of a recession is still looming. We saw the head of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, said it's all but certain to be coming in a few months and it's going to be bad. How worried are you?
Look, it's possible, but not inevitable. And we're doing everything we can to strengthen the foundations of the American economy. And that means a lot on the supply side, expanding the productive capacity of this country. Part of why we do see a lot of pressure on prices is that while demand has come back, Americans have more income because Americans have jobs in this almost historically low level of unemployment. It's been hard for the supply side to keep up. That's a big part of what we're working on the infrastructure side, dealing with some of the bottlenecks that we have, dealing with some of the constraints that we have in transportation infrastructure that's needed to be upgraded for decades, which is why Washington has talked about doing something about it for decades. And under this president, it has finally gotten done.
There's nothing better than literally that entire time that he's talking and he's talking about his accomplishments and everything the White House is doing, that you see like empty grocery stores with no produce or no meat, anything on the shelves. You literally see foreclosure signs, houses being sold, people are out of work. I mean, showing the market going down. So as he's talking about all the accomplishments, it just shows us shellacking of everything that's actually taking place in the United States. And that's a common theme for the White House, where they're completely oblivious to what's actually taking place. And they're saying that everything is fine. Everything's going A-OK according to them, folks. I apologize for laughing because I know it's a serious issue, but it is remarkable. And you all know it's remarkable, the messaging that's coming out from this White House. And we'll get to more messaging from the White House in just one moment. But there is, in our second story, some messaging coming from Elon Musk here, as well as some others who are telling him to F off, and there was consequences to that statement. We have SpaceX founder and CEO Elon Musk reversing course on Saturday on continuing to provide Ukraine with free Starlink satellite services in their war against invading Russian forces. Now, these Starlinks were a game changer for the Ukrainians, and they specify this in the article as well. But because one guy, and partially because of one guy, the other part is because, look, they're not going to continue to fund this thing because it's so expensive. But you tell the guy to F off, he's going to be like, all right, fine, whatever, I'll just F off. So you got to be careful with who you're just throwing out words to, especially the CEO and the guy that's trying to help you out. So Musk said on Friday that he decided to follow the recommendation of a Ukrainian diplomat who told him, get this, to F off, which came in response to Musk proposing a peace deal to end Russia's war in Ukraine by saying that SpaceX would no longer fund its Starlink satellite internet terminals in Ukraine for free. Musk's statement Friday triggered enormous backlash among pro-Ukrainian activists who called for taking action against the billionaire entrepreneur. Musk has previously stated that SpaceX's development of the satellites to Ukraine has cost the company $80 million and will exceed $100 million by the end of the year. Really what we're looking at is about $120 million to be realistic. Ukrainians just clearly think that just money grows on trees because we're sending them billions of dollars. We're funding a lot of this stuff. You got Elon Musk trying to help them out. And what do? Just tell them to F off. It's unbelievable. So Musk said, the hell with it. Even though Starlink is still losing money and other companies are getting billions of taxpayer dollars, we'll just keep funding Ukraine government for free. Musk provided Ukraine with the Starlink terminals shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine. It was big news. And they made an immediate difference on the battlefield, allowing Ukraine military to communicate and stay connected despite Russia destroying a lot of its communication infrastructure, their bridges, main portals, not just for communication, but also for getting troops in and around Ukraine. CNN reported Thursday that charitable contributions are likely coming to an end as the company warned the Department of Defense that it needs to start paying tens of millions of dollars. And when you hear the Department of Defense paying this, the taxpayers are paying this, okay? Tens of millions of dollars per month to keep the terminals up and running. The report said that as of September, a letter from SpaceX asked the Pentagon to pay for Ukraine's government to continue using the system, which would cost more than $120 million for the rest of the year and could cost close to $400 million for the next 12 months. Again, like I said, they just say money's just growing on trees, and Biden's just tossing billions of dollars out there. All the while, you can't get your grocery bills down. You can't get the price of gas down. You got illegal immigrants coming through the country. You have the debacle going on with China and Taiwan. I understand it's not necessarily a money issue so much, but if they invade, that's going to mean money going to Taiwan again and potentially even American troops. You got drug and fentanyl coming across the southern border. You got all this stuff going on, and we're just throwing out millions and billions of dollars to another country that has no sight to end. There's no ending in sight, but we're going to continue to do it. SpaceX's director of government sales told the Pentagon, "We are not in a position to further donate terminals to Ukraine or fund the existing terminals for an indefinite period of time." But according to them, they don't understand how money works. They just expect companies to just shell out, taxpayers just to shell out, or government just to shell out, constantly just giving them weapons, money. At no point is it going to stop. They're just going to keep asking. Do you ever think we'll get anything in return from the Ukrainians? I'm not so sure. Earlier this month, Musk conducted a non-scientific poll on Twitter on his peace plan, which involved the following 4 components. He said to redo elections of annexed regions under UN supervision. I don't like that. Look, anybody knows the show. I'm not a big fan of the UN. I think they do a garbage job. I think it needs to be dismantled. They don't do jack, you know what. They got people on the Human Rights Commission that literally have no business whatsoever being on human rights, but don't even get me into that. Russia leaves it if it will be the will of the people. You have Crimea, formerly part of Russia, as has been since 1983 until you have a mistake that was made by the Russian president at the time. Water supply to Crimea assured, and Ukraine remains neutral. I don't think that's going to happen. You just have Ukraine just wanting to join NATO. They just signed the paperwork, so that ain't going to happen. I'm not fully on board with what Musk is trying to propose here, but you have a Ukrainian ambassador that was recently dismissed. This is the ambassador of Germany, Ukraine's ambassador to Germany, to be specific, responded to Musk's proposal by writing "F off is my very diplomatic reply to Elon Musk." A Ukrainian journalist responded to Friday's news by writing, "Elon Musk Starlink says it can no longer afford to give Ukraine free service and asked the Pentagon to pay for it. Starlink has been a game changer in the war. This comes just days after Ukraine ambassador told Musk to fuck off." Or F off, forgive me. Musk replied, "We're just following the recommendation." And he puts this kind of arm shrugging because, look, if you're going to tell me to F off, fine, I'll just F off. I mean, you're adding fuel to the fire. The guy already said he's not going to continue to pay for it. Do you just want the company to take a hit? I mean, this is a constant theme, not just from the Democrats or the progressive left, just constantly wanting corporations to shell out money because they think corporations are just wealthy, they're greedy, capitalism is bad. They don't understand that at some point you're going to run out of money. You can't keep contributing and donating to all this stuff. And now you're telling him to F off, adds fuel to the fire, fine, he'll F off. And at this point, you don't get any connection whatsoever. So good luck with that. And at some point, the money's going to dry up going into Ukraine, where you're going to have people saying, I'm tired of sending money there. We're just all tired. Nothing's happening. We understand you're stable. We understand that in some places you are pushing the Russians back. But look, it's just, who knows when this whole thing is going to end. So that's Elon Musk news. Pulling Starlink out of Ukraine, or at least dismantling the aspect of them being able to make connections to the Starlink internet connection themselves. Moving into our last story of the day, speaking of the White House PR, the White House lying to you, the White House doing some odd stuff, we have another gaffe here from President Joe Biden dealing with little girls. I don't get it. He's acknowledged that he needs to stop doing this. He's acknowledged that it is inappropriate, and he understands what people are seeing from their point of view. So I don't know why he continues to make these types of gaffes. We have President Joe Biden, who put his hands on a young girl's shoulders and gave out dating advice during an event in Irvine Valley College, which is very, very close to my house. Matter of fact, so close, I heard the helicopters fly over while I was at work. Numerous videos of Biden, which you all are aware of, shows him interacting with young girls, and some women have gone viral over the past decade with these video clips of touching them inappropriately, whispering in their ear, what appears to be smelling them, doing all sorts of just oddball things. The Democrat has repeatedly grabbed female shoulders and sometimes whispers into their ears, shocking the internet and some in the media. Quote, President Joe Biden grabs a young girl by the shoulder and tells her, "No, serious guys, till you are 30. As she looks back, appearing uncomfortable. We have a clip of this, and does she look uncomfortable? Because, boy, oh boy, it's so random in terms of timing on you just not so much putting your shoulders because they're taking a picture. That doesn't really bug me. It's the kind of the oddball moment of you just throwing that out there. I mean, it's just a weird timing thing of you to do that, but I want you guys to see it and look at the girl's reaction.
Look at Dan.
Now, the very important thing I told my daughter and granddaughters, no serious guys in your 30s.
Okay. No what?
No serious guys till you're 30.
I'll keep that in mind. At least.
I'll keep that in mind. I mean, she does look uncomfortable. The putting the hands on the shoulders doesn't really bug me. I mean, you shouldn't do it if you know that the American people find it odd, even if that's not your intent to do something like that. But it's the no serious guys till you're 30 that's just kind of thrown out there, and everybody else is going, okay. Like, that's kind of a weird thing to say. But this is a consistent thing coming from him. And Secret Service appears to try to stop me from filming, meaning the guy that's actually filming this, they're trying to stop him from doing it because Lord only knows the PR, but it could be the fact that the guy's standing really close to him, let's be honest. And it says here, quote, "Now, a very important thing I've told my daughters and granddaughters," Biden says in the video while putting his hands on the young girl, "no serious guys until you're 30. The girl yells back, "What?" Biden says, "No serious guys till you are 30. The president repeats, the video shows, and this has 2.7 million views as of now. It's definitely more than that. There's a note here that this person took this video with President Joe Biden after a speech at Irvine Valley College during a meet and greet, as well as a photo op for those who wanted with him at this event. Now, he's done multiple gaffes here, and this is the latest one that kind of made its round as well, where he's out here biking, and this is what took place. And we did cover this on the Bald Brad show, but I want to revisit it here. Now, you know you're in somebody's personal space, like this little girl. There's a gap, right? She pulls back and looks at him. That's kind of a sign of like, you're too close to the person. You need to back up. But this has been a consistent thing with this guy for decades now. And if people are looking at it going, hey, man, it's making other people feel uncomfortable. It looks weird. It looks kind of suspicious. You need to stop. Then you probably should stop. Biden's odd behavior has been well documented by even some in the liberal media. You have the New York Magazine Intelligencer in 2015, for example, know that Biden's creepily cozying up to females, tagging him as the president of awkwardly whispering in women's ears. Like, if you knew that image was coming about, then you would hopefully try to change it. Even if that's not your intention to be awkward or weird, you again would make the necessary precautions to make sure that that's not something that can be used against you in the future, but he does it time and time again. Biden has been accused of sexual misconduct and inappropriate touching by at least 8 women. Tara Reid, a former assistant in Biden's Senate office in the early 1990s, has accused the president of sexually assaulting her in 1993. Quote, "Yeah, and went down to my skirt, but then up inside it, and he penetrated me with his fingers, and he was kissing me at the same time, and he was saying something to me," Reid claimed. "He said several things. I can't remember everything he said." Now, there is also videotape of him kind of touching a young girl on her chest. It's inappropriate. The guy needs to stop. As far as is he a predator or is he after young girls? I'm not the guy. I don't know. I have a feeling he's just an old guy that acts creepy and awkward and weird when he's trying to probably be sincere and loving to somebody, and he's showing it probably in a way that he shouldn't be. That's going to be my guess. I know that's not where everybody's at in terms of watching the Bald Brad show and agreeing with that, but I'm not always going to say things that you agree with. I want to sometimes give people the benefit of the doubt here. I know he's done it many times. I know he's touched people inappropriately. I've seen it on video myself. I'm trying to give the man the benefit of the doubt of him just being an old guy, consistently been old, I suppose, and just needs to stop doing what he's doing so that he doesn't have these PR gaffes, because it's consistent and it's only going to end up hurting him in the long run. But I want to know what you think about all this in the comments below. I have a feeling I already know what your answers are going to be, and I look forward to reading them. But as always, Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Join us here at the Bald Brad Show. We'd really love to have you. We got a great community. And folks, I'll see you tomorrow here on the Bald Brad Show.